Hi, everybody. It's your podcast, Sista Lisa, coming to you from Cleveland, Ohio. If you like to discover new music, then you've come to the right place. This is where you'll meet singers, songwriters, and musicians who are living the dream and talking about it on Podcast Sista. On today's show, I'll be interviewing the talented young country singer-songwriter Birdie Nichols from Arizona. At the age of 17 years old, Birdie has just released her debut EP titled Into the West, and she's here to talk about it. I'm excited to share with you her music because she's definitely a rising star and one you need to keep an eye on. Stay tuned and let's talk music. Welcome, Birdie. Thanks for joining me on today's podcast.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Birdie, it is such a pleasure to have you. And I've been wanting to do a special podcast segment on up and coming young artists for quite some time. And when I read about you, this modern day cowgirl who sings about her Western roots, I said to myself, I think I just found my first featured young artist to interview, Birdie Nichols. And Birdie, before we start talking about your music, I want to hear a little bit about this country girl side that you have. And I heard that you grew up spending time on a cattle ranch in Arizona. Tell us what that was like for you.
Yes, well, I first learned how to ride on that cattle ranch. The lady who owned it, she was amazing. She taught me everything I know about horses and more. Uh, she would actually save horses from off of a kill lot, and I would help her retrain them so they could find better homes, new homes, instead of just wasting away. Um, and we did a lot of fun things. She would organize events on her ranch. She had some barrel racing competitions, some pole bending competitions. We do big old like camping trail rides within her acreage, and we'd sometimes the cows would come out and scare some of the horses, which was a little chaotic.
It sounds like a wonderful experience, especially to be working with an organization or family that is taking the time to save horses. And I read too that you were active with skeet shooting and all those things
Yes.
country. Tell us about that.
Oh, skeet shooting is so much fun. First, I only did like pistol shooting for fun with my dad. He taught me how to shoot. Um, but I learned there was a skeet team with that I could join, and I was like, I've never learned how to shoot a shotgun. I want to know how. So I joined. They taught me. It took me a bit to find out what type of model worked best for me. But then I really got going. I did trap shooting. I did skeet shooting. I did glow clays, sporting clays. It was so much fun. I had a fantastic time. I do like to go out and sometimes just go for fun out to the shooting range and do some just skeet for fun
Well,
as
that's
well.
terrific. Um, I think when you are writing your songs for Into the West and others, you really capture that authentic story and whatever you're trying to get across in that
Hmm.
lyric and in that song. And it's genuine and it really comes through with the experiences that you've talked about. And I'm sure, you can't take the cowgirl out of anyone. You'll be like this probably for the rest of your life.
No.
I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about it. I'm a city slicker. So I've been born and raised in the city. I'm learning about country life more and more. And thanks for sharing that. Now,
Of course.
yeah, so let's talk about when you first got interested in music and songwriting.
Oh, I've always loved music. Ever since I was really, really little, I would hear a tune and I would hum along to it or just sing along. I taught myself how to whistle. I just came home one day whistling, and my mom was like, "How did? where did you learn that? I was like, I just figured it out. And she was like, okay. Uh, I've always loved to songwrite. I would write little things, poetry, and I would come up with different melodies and different like stanzas that went together. But I didn't know how to write it down because I didn't know how to write a lot of the words. And so I would ask my mom to get out a piece of paper and I would tell her what I was thinking and she would write it down for me.
So your mom's been supportive right along um,
Yeah.
throughout your career, and she's very involved in what you're doing today, correct?
Yes, she's amazing.
That's wonderful. There's nothing like a mom to guide you and teach you what she knows in the industry, as well as be there to support you. And it's a tough business, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
You've just graduated from high school this year,
Yes.
and is it overwhelming for you at times to think to yourself, I've got my whole life ahead of me. What do I do next? I mean, does your mom help you through that, or do you just kind of know what you are envisioning for your future?
Well, I have a destination, I guess, and I'm figuring out the way to go, which exactly how to go and how to get there. I guess sometimes it's a little overwhelming, but most of the time I'm very secure in the fact that I know this is what I want to do, and I'm honest. I love music. I love sharing my music, and that's the main reason why I do it. I love to entertain. I love to see people inspired by what I sing and how I sing.
It's wonderful. And I don't want the audience and listeners and your fans to wait another minute, because I want to kick off the podcast with snippet number one, your title track, Into the West. And when we come back, let's talk more music.
I'm a trailblazing tumbleweed, a straight talking wind wandering melody, roaming, arranging, rambling, blowing down those dusty roads, guided by the legends of the past, never knowing who I'll meet when I'm blazing my own way into the west. Annie Oakley was a sharpshooting dead shot, made her mark in the west, traveled through to Tombstone, Dodge City, Deadwood, Amarillo, Cheyenne, Prescott, Las Vegas, Santa Fe, drew home. Annie Oakley, a sharpshooting dead shot. I'm a trailblazing tumbleweed, a straight talking wind wandering melody, roaming, arranging, rambling, blowing down those dusty roads, guided by the legends of the past, never knowing who I'll meet when I'm blazing my own way into the west.
I love that song, Birdie. It's so great. The lyrics take that listener back in time to the old American West, or even that Yellowstone type era. I don't know what those prequels were, 1883 and 1923, Yellowstone being such a hot uh, topic right now, the Western
Yeah.
cowboy theme. And your lyrics really put that into perspective, but with a modern spin of that traditional country sound. And, could you describe what it's like, Birdie, writing for this album? And just tell us your process.
Ooh, typically I have a giant list of ideas that come to me in the most either random moments or I'll sit down and be like, something will just pop up out of nowhere and I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. So sometimes I'll go through my list and I'll be like, what am I feeling today? What is speaking to me? And so I'll take what is speaking to me, or if just something comes to mind out of nowhere in general, and I feel like I should write this, I should start writing this. I'll sit down. I'll be like, how does this feel to me? What does this mean? Is there a deeper meaning to what this little phrase is, or what these couple lines are? And so I'll sit with my guitar and I'll just kind of start doodling around, noodling, and maybe uh, one note will like stand out, and I'll be like, oh, let me expand on this. So I'll doodle around a little more, and then it builds up into, I have a melody, I have a guitar um, melody as well to go along with it. I have words that maybe they're not quite right, but they're getting there. And then I just keep going, keep going. Sometimes I'll take a step back, I'll take a little break, or maybe it'll sit for a little bit longer. And then it'll just come back to me, and it'll hit me again out of nowhere, and I'll just finish the song.
Well, it's a natural gift, it sounds like, Birdie, and you're really um, taking that gift with tender, loving care. And, with this EP, and there's 9 songs on it, uh,
Yes,
9
9 plus
tracks.
a bonus track. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And so with the next song, No Cattle Kind of Cowboy, that's on that album, and it's one of my favorite. Tell us a little bit about where that idea came from or the story behind it, and we're going to play a snippet of it in a moment. Go ahead and tell us.
Well, there is a saying in Texas that it goes all hat and no cattle. And that was the main basis for No Cattle Kind of Cowboy. I also took a lot of what my teacher and what other people would tell me when I was first starting to ride, a lot of either their hurtful words or the ones that were helpful. And so I took those along with that saying and put them in a big old mixing bowl, uh, added a little bit of guitar and inspiration, and just mixed it all together, and out came No Cattle.
I love it. And it's such a great story. And let's play a snippet right now for our listeners. And when we come back, we're going to talk more music.
No cattle kind of cowboy, a greenhorn in the saddle. You're still trying to play above your pay grade. Every horse here knows you're a fake. You're talking up the girls while squatting your spurs. You ain't had enough, thing. No cattle kind of cowboy. When I'm ready to go, I'm ready to ride. I don't need you slowing me down. You don't know how to rope, you don't know how to wrestle. Your head is bigger than your boots. No cattle kind of cowboy, a greenhorn in the saddle. You're still trying to play above your pay grade. Every horse here knows you're a fake. You're talking up the girls while squatting your spurs. You ain't had enough, babe. No cattle kind of cowboy.
I love that song. I want to say Yahoo! um, who have been your musical influences throughout your life that you've enjoyed listening to?
Well, for starters, Johnny Cash is one of my absolute favorite artists. The way he can weave a story is just incredible. Dolly Parton, she she's just queen. I don't honestly have much else to say. She just speaks for herself. My mom and I, whenever we'd go on a road trip, we'd put on an Alan Jackson CD. Uh, so I love Alan Jackson. And I also had a mix of old country artists CDs that were just lying around that I would just put in and listen to. I could listen to for hours.
Yeah, there's nothing like some of those old country tunes that stand the test of time. And speaking of which, when you were saying that you travel with your mom for performing, how old were you when you first started performing on stage in front of an audience?
I would say about 3.
Wow.
Yeah, I love to perform. I always have. I've performed in church. I did musical theater. I would do festivals. I would dance at festivals. I would sing with my brother at festivals. I just always loved performing.
And you've got a bright future ahead of you. Are you going to be touring more, or what does your future look like?
Yes, I'm gonna tour, share my music with more people who haven't been able to, and I would gonna inspire some who maybe they need to hear what I have to say.
Yeah, did you just play in New Mexico?
I did, yes. I was at the International Western Association. It's their annual conference. They're such a lovely community of people. They really just want to help rise each other up, and it's just incredible.
You were selected. It seemed that it was very special to have anyone that was on the list for performing, and I'm so happy for you. This has been a very big year for you. Uh, you've also, I read, Birdie, you just released a Christmas single this month, actually. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Well, I do love to write my own songs, and I have written Christmas songs, but I will say Nat King Cole's The Christmas Song is one of my absolute favorite Christmas songs. And I've always loved to just sing it whenever I can, whenever it's Christmas season. Uh, it just holds a lot of memories for me because we have his Christmas album. And so we would play it either when we were decorating the tree or when we were baking cookies for our neighbors or for us or for other people. And I really just wanted to be able to do my own version of his song because I love it so much.
Yeah, and where can listeners hear that version?
Well, it is out on Spotify and YouTube, Apple and Amazon Prime, Pandora, wherever you listen to music.
Wonderful. And I want to close the show with your song Blue Lightning Ambush that is on your debut EP Into the West. And tell us about the story behind that song and the video. You have an official music video out as well. So fill us in.
Yes. Blue Lightning Ambush, that was a name that just stuck out because Blue Lightning, it is a name for a cult in the Old West that cowboys used to use. And when I was writing it, my co-writer, he was like, well, there's also a saying in French that means love at first sight or struck of love. And so that is where the initial idea for Blue Lightning came. And so I was like, well, it can be this twisted love story of they don't know it yet, but they are made for each other. And so the music video actually shows that she is just maybe she was a robber, she's having a hard time, and you follow her along until she meets her person. And my friends are helping me out. They were amazing actors, and they were such good sports when we were filming.
I really enjoyed watching that video as well. And it's nice to hear a little bit of behind the scenes that, they were friends uh, acting in that. It was a great first video. Is that a debut video, Blue Lightning
Ye-
Ambush?
yes, it is.
Do you see yourself being involved more and more with the maybe storylines or production of your videos in the future?
Yes. We went out and recorded and videoed where my horse is at because I really wanted to show my horse and his environment. because he's very special to me as well.
What's your horse's name?
Tex.
Tex. Oh my gosh. What color? Give us a
He
description.
he is an Arizona paint. He's more like a chestnutty red is his non-white color. So, but he has a little bit of gray lining around where his white is. And he's got a beautiful long mane, long tail. He's such a sweetheart.
Aw, I would love to go to a ranch and see horses and cows. And there's something about being in nature that really has a calming effect.
Yes.
And it's so nice that you have a horse. The more and more I read about horses, they're so intelligent. And tell an old city slicker a good horse story.
Well, he does know how to get out of his halter, but he chooses not to. We've seen him slip out of it so many times. Like, and he'll just stand there and he'll stare at you, and you're like, "Really, Tex?" And he's like, "Yeah." Or he knows what a tarp is, but he chooses to forget that he knows it's not going to eat him. So sometimes, if he really wants to, he'll see a tarp and then he'll go like, "Oh my God, it's going to eat me." And I'm like, "Tex, you've seen this before." And he's like, "No, I haven't." And you're like, "Come on, man, you're fine."
Oh gosh, I watch some of the YouTube videos or the TikTok videos with horses. From the horses laying down pretending they're sleeping or
Oh,
whatever, and the
yeah.
lady's screaming at the horse, and it gets up, and or the horses that are eating the fence, and there's just
Oh, yes.
it's great. Well, listen, this has been a wonderful interview. You have such a bright future ahead of you, Birdie.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining me on Podcast Sista today. And I look forward to having you back on the show to talk
Yes.
about new projects that you're working on. But again, how can our listeners and your fans find you on social media? If you don't mind spelling, the first and last name so everybody, gets an idea of where to find you.
Yes. My name is spelled like this: Birdie for Birdie, and Nichols for Nichols. And my handle typically goes Birdie Nichols 07. You can find me on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, all the social medias. I have a website out if you want to just go more in depth of how people have responded to my album, or if you want to buy a CD of my album. You can find me on YouTube, watch my YouTube video, my music video is there. And wherever you listen to your music, you can find my stuff just waiting for you to add to your playlist.
Well, that's terrific. I encourage everyone to check out Birdie Nichols, download her music, add it to your collection, and we're going to close the show with Birdie's song, Blue Lightning Ambush. Thanks again, Birdie, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hungry, broken, desperate, hidden in the dark, ambushed you, and then suddenly the lightning struck my heart. It was a blue lightning ambush, a blue lightning ambush. It shocks you, rocks you, knocks you to the ground. One spark is all it takes to turn your life around. Breathless and bewildered, my cold fell to the ground.